Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the Sausage Fest. Welcome to week 2 of the 3K challenge, brought to you by Moomoo. Please sign up so I can get paid. At the end of week 1, my account settled at just over $12,300. I nailed a put option for a quick gain of a few hundred. Then I pivoted into an Iron Condor. I pushed out on that one a little too early, not gonna lie, but still closed with a good $79 gain. I'm heading into this week with one remaining put option and a pile of cash. Here's my game plan. On Saturday, we saw Cheeto and the boys make a major change to the tariff war. Now, electronics, computers, phones, all that stuff is exempt from tariffs, and tariffs previously paid will be reimbursed. The decision allegedly came during pressure from tech companies like Apple, so big tech should rally hard. But then on Sunday, we've got Lutnick countering that, saying that these products will be subject to tariffs later in the month. That is a huge backpedal by Trump, followed by a counter backpedal from Lutnick. There's no clarity right now. The trade war is on and off every 15 minutes, and it's like watching freshmen trying to give a presentation they started preparing for 20 minutes prior. I have no idea what the tariff war plan is right now, or if we even have a plan. It's Sunday afternoon as I'm recording this, and there's about a 50% chance that this information will be obsolete by market open tomorrow. So how do I trade on this? Well, I personally think that Lutnick is about to get fired for shitting up the place, so I am discounting Lutnick's counter backpedal. I think that we are indeed going to continue reducing tariffs, and therefore the market will moon. I still have one put option open. It expires on the 30th, but as of right now, I think this contract is cooked. I'm gonna dump it at market open for whatever it's worth and switch into bullish tech plays. Most likely, I'm looking at Soxal shares and probably a triple Q call. Now, I'm going to keep an eye on Twitter overnight, which is where we get our information these days, and I'll be ready to go for tomorrow. Here we go, starting the week off on Monday, April 14th. Well, never mind. As I was recording, China announced a halt on rare earth elements being deported to the US, effectively an embargo on very important goods. And now we've got Trump going on a bit of a rant here about how there was in fact no tariff exemption for electronics, and that the tariff is just being reclassed from China tariffs to some kind of fentanyl tariff bucket. So what does this mean for me? I have no idea. The market should react negatively to this rare earth element embargo, but I just don't see it manifesting. I think that we will next month get a phase 1 trade deal that does nothing, but will be a trade war off-ramp. So unless the market shits itself tomorrow, I'm still bullish. Here we go for real this time on Monday the 14th. The market's about to open in 4 minutes, and you can see right there SPY is already up over 1%, close to 2% pre-market. That's a really big boost. VIX is down. The market looks confident. Now if I go over to Moomoo, you can see that I've got that put option still open. It's going to take a little bit of a bite. It's not going to completely lose its value because it doesn't expire until the end of the month, but it's definitely going to lose a good amount of value here. I'm going to dump this thing at open and prepare to switch over to bullish tech plays. Let's keep pedaling on through. The market just opened. I've got $12,122 in my account, so that's not enough to buy Crab Rangoon. I'm going to dump this put immediately and take whatever value I have left on it. With the strike at 470, I don't even think this is in play anymore. So let's dump it here at the market, and I get a fill immediately. Looks like my account is now going to have $12,116. So I'm down to only $116 of total gain so far, which is not enough for a Crab Rangoon. Now what I want to do is move over to Soxal. I'm going to buy 100 shares of Soxal at market price. Soxal, ticker SOXL, is a 3 times leveraged semiconductor ETF. 3 times leverage is risky, but I'm not going to buy calls on Soxal because then that's just too many elements working against you. You've got theta, you've got volatility decay, all this stuff working against you. Calls on leveraged ETFs is a dice roll, so I'm just going to raw dog 100 shares. Mikey, you're buying leveraged semiconductor shares in the middle of a rare earth embargo. This is insanity. It doesn't matter. Fundamentally, the US is so smoked that it's not even funny. But I give it 6 hours before we get a tweet that drives stocks up another 4%. All it would take is, looking forward to talking to President Xi, and Soxal is at $14. We are back in the Twitter age of markets, and I'm not gonna fight that fact. That leaves me with $2,000 cash to play with this week. And the shares are already down $12, so we're off to a great start. I'll hang out for a little while and see where this market goes. While I wait for this forthcoming tweet, it's a good time to tell you guys how to get free stuff from Moomoo for both new and existing users. Moomoo is sponsoring this whole series. For new users, obviously we get the bonus shares. Right now, they're doing up to 60 shares with a qualifying deposit, which is the largest I have ever seen from a broker. You do have to maintain your balance for the free shares to vest, and your portfolio can't drop below the threshold during this time. The trick is to deposit your cash and then just leave the cash in your account, earn the 8.1% APY, and then do whatever you want once the free shares unlock. For existing users, you want to do their little daily challenges for the Moomoo points, and then you can cash these points in for vouchers. With the vouchers, you pay full price for a share up front, and then the voucher's face value will be added to your cash balance when the trade settles. I typically cash in for a low face value voucher, and then I buy a cheap share. That voucher's value is returned to me as cash, so it's like a discount on the shares. And whenever Moomoo does its paper trade competitions, participate in those as well, since they're usually very easy ways to get vouchers. Thank you to Moomoo for sponsoring the 3K challenge, and now let's get back to my portfolio so I can see if I'm destroyed or not. Wednesday the 16th. Oh boy. Last night, news broke that the US would require a license for NVIDIA to sell its H20 chips to China and has no intention of issuing that license. That's a roundabout way of banning NVIDIA from selling these chips to China. This is a little ironic because the H20 chips are already nerfed versions of NVIDIA's top chips, and it was designed explicitly to comply with the US requirements on chip exports to China. So now, with this chip effectively banned for sale, all the orders from ByteDance, Alibaba, Tencent, all canceled. NVIDIA expects to write off $5.5 billion from these unfillable orders, and now it's sitting on a bunch of chips it can't sell. This all could have been avoided if Jensen were at the inauguration and kissed the ring. That way he could have gotten exemption just like Tim Apple. I thought the point of the tariff war was to sell stuff to China to close the trade deficit, but I guess we're not doing that with GPUs. We're gonna sell China Silverados or American Rebel beer, I don't know. I think this plan is breathing with your mouth wide open levels of dumb, since Chinese Huawei is gonna fill this technology gap. But my opinion is worth precisely dick, because I am holding a 3 times leveraged semiconductor ETF in the middle of a chips embargo. So pre-market, this is gonna be an L. NVIDIA is down big, chip manufacturers are also down, and of course, Soxol is down even bigger. It looks like I'm set to open down over $100 from yesterday's close, which was already in the red. That's not what I wanted, but this isn't too bad. Fortunately, I only went in with 100 shares. But what do I do now? Is this only going to get worse? Will NVIDIA find another place to sell these nerfed chips? Will tariff policy change again by this afternoon? I found this analysis by some guy named Davidson interesting. He says that NVIDIA also just promised this $500 billion investment into US infrastructure. And going beyond Davidson's analysis, we can consider that actual manufacturers like Foxconn, Taiwan Semiconductor, in addition to NVIDIA, have pledged a combined almost $1 trillion in US-based chip fabrication. Are these companies going to cancel these plans if the tariff war is making it more expensive, less profitable, and definitely more uncertain to produce in the US? And will these companies leverage Trump into changing his mind by using these pledges as collateral? My take? I think Trump has been very excited about these pledges, and he doesn't want to see these companies get spooked out of investing in the US because the tariff policy changes every 2 days. Likewise, Trump doesn't actually want to see the Chinese AI market belong to Huawei. Once Xi and Trump, 2 grown-ass adults, figure out how to use a phone and call each other, this will be the first policy to get rolled back. And by the way, just as an afterthought, we've got up to 245% tariffs on China now. It just keeps going. So the question remains, what do I do now? Do I dump? Do I buy the dip? I am still waiting for this tweet. I am waiting for the President Xi called, and now I'm looking forward to meeting him tweet that sends stocks up 8%. I think selling Soxol now would be premature because I expect this H20 chips embargo to be repealed in the near future. So I'm going to sit on this decaying position, and I may even sell an out-of-the-money put on Soxol and buy the dip. I'm either ahead of the times, or I am a buffoon for thinking this trade war will get canceled once 2 world leaders decide to talk to each other. Guess we're going to find out soon. Checking back in with about 30 minutes left to market close, you can see that this position is not going according to plan. I am now down on the challenge by about $137. And you can see that my Soxol position is down more than $2.50 from its basis, $226 of loss just today. But we must keep in mind that every long-term trade is just a short-term trade that failed. So now in this long-term Soxol position, there's another move that I can pull. If I pull up options and look at next week's expiration, I can roll over to the deltas, and you can see that even at the 16 delta, which is the $6.50 strike, you can get a decent amount of premium by selling these. I have the cash collateral to do it because I only entered the Soxal position with 100 shares. Now, I'm not going to sell puts today, but if I did, then I could still get about $25 for selling a 20% out of the money short put. But I'm not going to enter this position today. I'm not going to sell puts today. Instead, I'm going to wait until at least tomorrow since it's the last day of the trading week. The market is closed for Good Friday. And then I'm going to give Donnie the weekend to chew over what he's doing here and reflect on Jay Powell's speech today that warned of recession and stagflation. It's only a matter of time before we get a decent tweet that sends the market back to the stratosphere. We'll check back in tomorrow to see if I'm actually a complete idiot. Thursday the 17th, tomorrow is Good Friday, so today is the last trading day this week. We had some good news on trade since yesterday. Last night, Trump met with the Japanese Prime Minister Ishiba's side bitch for a fact-finding meeting on tariffs. Trump says the meeting was productive, Japan said it was mid. Then this morning, Trump tweeted that he and Mexican President Claudia talked on the phone, and apparently Trump will meet Meloni of Italy today. Twitter is not particularly hyped about this. It's a start, but no one really cares about these inconclusive trade talks, and neither does the market. I need a real tweet to pump my bags, like Xi and Trump finally deciding to talk to each other, not these half-assed trade negotiations. But progress is progress, and Soxal is progressing down. It's hovering around $9 now. That's better than yesterday's low, but it's still almost $2 below my basis. My Mumu account is in the red by about $65. There is no crab rangoon in sight. I need a China tweet this weekend to get things moving again. Until then, I can't talk trash about anyone because I bought a 3 times leveraged semiconductor ETF during a chips embargo, thinking a tweet from heaven would pump the market. So right now, I'm on the left side of the intelligence distribution curve until something dumb happens. The only move I'm going to make now is some housekeeping. Having 12K in the 3K challenge, 9K of which is not to be touched, is a little uncomfortable. So I'm going to deposit another grand and change my starting point from 12K to 13K, and 10K of which shall not be touched. This just gives me a nice round number to work off of, instead of 9K being untouchable. So for the challenge so far, my record is 2-2, with a gain on my first put and a gain on my Condor, which would have been a larger gain if I held. And then I have 2 losses from the other put and the Soxal shares. My losses are a little bit bigger than the gains, and I'm in the red by a bit. But next week, I'll be back at it, and inshallah, we'll finally get some meaningful progress on trade to turn this emaciated market around. Don't forget to join our free Discord to observe the madness close up. Happy Easter, and I'll see you all next week.